We're going to have a look at the Save for Web option in Photoshop, which is an interesting device that takes a lot of the guesswork out of web images. You know, we all have this problem of we want to send an image to somebody else by email or whatever, and we don't know quite how much to compress it by and how small it should be. All of these things, well, Photoshop will help you. We go to File as usual. It doesn't matter if the file's already saved or named, that's irrelevant to what we're going to do now. But instead of choosing Save or Save As, the ones we would normally use, we choose this one, Save for Web, with a rather complicated system of keystrokes to access it directly if you care to choose them. I don't bother. Just click on Save for Web, and the whole screen changes. We get this large box comes onto screen, and 4 images showing our picture. You might say, well, where is he? Well, if you want to see the picture, click on the hand tool right at the top of the toolbox here in the left hand corner and pull the image to where you want it to be. There's the hand. Click in the image now, it grabs hold of it, and you can simply push it into place like that to a part of your image which shows clearly what the picture looks like. Here's the boy's eye. Okay, what's all this about then? Well, we have a toolbox down the left hand side which is largely connected with slices and colors connected with graphics rather than photographs. I'm talking about photographs here today, but we have a magnifying glass, and the magnifying glass allows us, of course, to zoom in, or with our finger on the Alt or Option key if you're using a Mac, to zoom out so you can see more or less. I prefer to leave it on about the 100% mark, the one that it comes in at, because that way we can see a good sized image. Nothing very much over this side at the moment, but as we click away from here, if I click on Original, all of this comes to life. Talk about that in a moment, but here is the original photograph filling the whole of the frame. That won't change, it will stay as it is. But as we work on that image, we can also click on Optimized the moment it's the same, and this will show the image as it becomes after we make the settings for the web or for email. Same thing, we're just trying to make our image smaller so that we can put it either onto the web or onto an email for transmission somewhere else. But here are the clever ones. 2 up and 4 up. Click onto 2 up and we get 2 versions of our picture. The one on the left is always the original, and that's its original name, and that's its original size, 2.84 megabytes. But look at this one. Here we have a different image altogether. It may look the same on screen, but this is a JPEG image, and it's Photoshop showing us what the picture will actually look like when it's compressed. JPEG is not a fixed amount. JPEG varies. It's a variable compression, so we can compress it more or less, and in this particular case it has a setting of 50. I'll show you why in a moment, and that would give me an image size not of 2.84 megabytes but of just 76 kilobytes, very much smaller. And I know that this would take 7 seconds if it was transmitted down a modem line at 128k, a typical sort of cable link. If you don't have a cable link, or the people you're sending it to don't, then you can click here and you can change that. This little drop down menu that appears here allows you to make all sorts of changes to your image, but the important one perhaps is here. If you know that you're using a 56k modem or even a 28k modem, although there aren't so many of those around now, then simply choose the one you've got. If I click 56 there, and look what happens. It's now reading twice the length of time, 15 seconds, on a 56k modem. It's just a guide. It's saying, if you let me do what I want to do to your picture, this is what it will look like after it's compressed, this will be its size, and this is how long it's going to take to download. Okay, what about 4 up then? Well, if we click on 4 up, then we get other options as well. Here's our original, smaller version obviously, and here's the one that we've just been considering, the JPEG image of 76k and that sort of quality. But what about these? We not only have an image here at 50 quality, but we have an image here at half that again, 25 quality. Obviously it's going to take less time to download, and only 9 seconds instead of 15. And then another one which is at a further reduction of 50%. So each of these is getting worse and worse. And if you look around the eye here, let me just magnify that a little bit. If I click on there, if you look around the eye now, you can probably see on the screen that here the picture's beginning to break up. You can see pixels appearing. You can even see them here if you look closely. There are pixels sort of around the outside, but you have to look more closely to see them. Here they're barely visible, and of course on the original they're not visible at all. This is what it's all about. This is Photoshop giving you the chance to look at the images and say, how good do I need this to be? You know what the purpose is. You know how good it needs to be when it appears at the other end of the transmission. How do we control these views? Clearly that is too bad, and that may be too good. We may be able to save ourselves some time. How do we change them? Well, let's take this one first. If I click on it, the black box appears around the outside. Did you see that? I'm going to click back. There's the black box going around the outside. Click on the image that you want to change, and then moving across into these settings here, we can control the settings. This is 50 quality. But if I wanted to see how much I would gain or lose by setting it down to 40 or 39 or thereabouts, there it is. It's now recording 40 quality, and it still looks more or less okay. Can I try a bit further? Well, possibly. And we can go down further, and now I can just begin to see on my screen here, it may not be so clean on yours, but you can see that it's beginning to break up. So I've probably gone too far. So I'm going to try something like 45 in that one. And then I'm going to come down and click on this one, and I'm going to try something like 35. And then go into the final one here and try something like 25, because we knew that 12 was not good enough. And I've set 3 different qualities, 45, 35 and 25, and you just look at them and decide which you find acceptable. This is certainly acceptable. This one just about perhaps, although it's beginning to break up. I'm going to go for this, or I might try 40. Once you decide which one you want, you simply click on it. That becomes the active image, and you can go back then and look at the optimized version at that quality. There it is. It's going to take 13 seconds to download on my modem, and I can stick my finger onto the keyboard here, or pick up the hand and just pull this around and see whether I'm prepared to accept it at that degree of compression. And I would be. Now, just possibly you're thinking, hang on a minute, I can see sort of the picture breaking up there. Yes, you will, at this magnification. But this is not the size that people are going to be looking at our pictures. There's every chance that the size they will be looking at is something like that. And at that magnification, you're very hard pushed to see any difference. There's the original. There's the optimized one. All those pixels that looked important to us a few moments ago have now disappeared. What about the rest of these settings then? Well, if you click here, you choose the file format. Now there's some discussion about this, but there should be very little discussion. The only one to consider as a photographer is JPEG. This is the compression formula of choice, and it works. Do not, because you see other people using it, be tempted to use GIF. Just watch the numbers down here at the bottom of the box, and I'm going to click on the GIF setting, and it will change it to a GIF image. See that? Not only is the picture worse, because it's being composed now of this color table here, just of those colors, and I can see pixelation all over the place, but it's very, very, very much larger. 529K as opposed to just 66K. No contest. Better image at JPEG and a much, much smaller file size, and that's what we want. You can choose here the degree of compression that you want, whether you want it high, medium or low, but it's a little bit meaningless really, because you can see what happens. It's exactly the same as changing this number. If I go to medium, then it goes up to a medium number. If I go to high, it goes to a high number. So it's the same thing as changing your numbers here, and that's the place I would prefer to do it. Change the numbers to optimize the quality. Whilst we're on the question of optimization, if you leave that checked, you'll get a better quality image, but there are some of the older web browsers that can't use that facility. So if you find somebody says, well, I'm having trouble with your pictures, you might just ask them how old the web browser is and sort this out by trying to do something that's more compatible with their system, but will produce a lesser picture. Progressive is the sort of effect you see when you open a website and the picture appears in a sort of outline form and then gradually builds into the dense finished image. It's a progressive download, and it's okay if you've got a big file and you want to keep people's attention on your website whilst you wait for the rest of it to download as well. Normally I'd leave that switched off. Introducing blur means that you can get smaller images. This is just like Gaussian blur. If you blur your picture, it allows your image to be compressed more easily, but of course the picture's degraded. You don't see the picture at the same quality as it was before. So it's the same thing again. You're trading off quality against the image itself. And again, there are other settings in here as well, mainly to do with slices and things, so don't worry too much about those. And the final one is the matte control. Matte allows for areas like this. See this white burned out area here, or these white areas back there? If there is no information in the image at all, the matte color that you choose here will fill in that area. So if I were to click black, if there's any area in this picture which is totally burnt out, then it would appear black in the finished picture. You wouldn't do that, of course. You're far more likely to choose white or none, or pick up a color that is going to fit into your image. And you can do that, of course, by saying, right, well, if there's anything left in there that is unreadable, pick up that color. And you just click on it. That's the color then that it is going to use if you click on eyedropper color. Any blank areas will be filled with that. Normally, I think most people don't bother. They just leave it on none, and there isn't a problem. Now, there are lots of other things around here. There are sort of identification numbers down at the bottom. Watch these whilst I move over the picture for the red, green, blue values, and the hex number, the numbers that's used on the web to actually make the image. But to be honest, they're of little or no relevance. If all you want to do is get a picture and put it onto the web, firstly resize it in Photoshop to a sensible size, something less than perhaps 2 megabytes or 1.5 megabytes. This one was 2 megabytes, I think, when we started. There it is, nearly 3. That way you're not making Photoshop do too much work to make it smaller, and then optimize it using JPEG at a quality which shows your image favorably. When you've done all of that and you've found the image that you want, then simply double click it and click on Save. And that's it. It will ask you where you want to put it, and wherever you go, that's where you will find it next time. Doesn't affect the image on screen, that comes straight back to you afterwards, but what it does do is it packs away this JPEG version of it. Good luck with that.